Hey everybody, and welcome back to Free Fridays. Sorry I'm in my pajamas here and look terrible. Alright, but today I had to have emergency oral surgery. I had a tooth split. I got a gig on Saturday with the Damon Fowler Band. We're making a live recording, and I got to rest up. I'm not allowed to play harmonica. I was really hoping to do that video today, but I woke up in just a ton of pain, and we found a dentist, and boom, next thing you know, I was in the chair and they were yanking my tooth out. It feels pretty weird. I hope my tone is the same. So speaking of that, right, so speaking of tone, so I wanted to talk about one of the main things that I could talk about today for you guys that might have questions about gear. So I've been getting a ton of questions on Patreon and here on YouTube. What kind of harmonicas do you use? What's the first pedal I should buy? What kind of amp should I get? What microphone? All of this stuff. And like, I know it would be way sexier if I had like a top 5 list of the best microphones, the best pedals, and that, but in the best harmonicas. But the problem is things work differently for different people. And additionally, things are going to work differently for you at different times in your life. So through the course of this video, hopefully I'll make some comments about what worked for me for a while and what didn't. And that could be completely different than you. You know, it's the same thing. There's parallels between anything you really get into. Right over here is my humidor, okay? So, you know, now I have it narrowed down to a bunch of cigars that I like, right? That I know I really like, but you know, down bottom, right, or like right over there is the what's called the buddy box down there. And those are cigars that I've had for a long time, you know, that I know I don't like, but some of them I liked in the beginning, and I'm not so crazy about them now. So we change over time, so there's nothing wrong with that. So let's start with the most obvious thing here, is harmonicas. So what brand harmonica should you buy? Well, okay, so there's all the brands that are out right now are pretty good. There's a couple that I won't use just because of me specifically, right? Like, well, I mean, I'm endorsed by Honors, so I kind of have to play Honors, but that's not a problem because I like them, right? But there's like the only ones that I won't play are ones that don't overblow easily or at all or take tremendous amounts of work. So for me, the Lee Oscar harmonica is kind of off the table, right? So even if I like the way the harmonica plays, there's one particular thing that it doesn't really do well, or certainly doesn't do easily, right? So that's off the table. But the main thing for me is I like this sandwich style. That means like not a recessed comb, right? So let me find an example of a recessed comb. Do I even have one? See, that's the problem, right? Oh yeah, wait, is this? Yeah, here we go, the pentaharp. So it's set up like a special 20, so that what happens with this is the reeds sit inside the comb itself. So no metal touches your face at all. It's very comfortable. Well, that's one reason if you're looking for something that's comfortable and easy, a recessed comb like a Special 20 or Lee Oscar or a Suzuki Harpmaster or a Rocket Amp harp or any of those instruments are going to be super for you. Hold on. Sorry. My arm is going to get tired. All right. Those are going to be fun harmonicas for you guys. You're going to like them because they're comfortable, they feel easy on your lips, and they're good. So why don't I like them? Well, I'll tell you, just the tiniest little bit of that plastic pushing me that much further away from the reed is actually an issue for me. So I get a feeling of disconnect. Now, does that mean that I can't go on stage and play this? Absolutely not, right? I just prefer this kind. Now that also might have something to do with the fact that I've mostly been playing this kind, mostly my life, the sandwich style. See, the reeds are exposed. The reed plates and the edge of the reed plate is sticking out and it's exposed. Whereas this one, you have sort of a mouthpiece, right? You don't see the reeds at all unless you look in the back, okay? So I like that sandwich style. I generally prefer the more traditional kind of marine band kind of flavor. Right, here's an old Suzuki Manji though. You can see this, right? So see that still has that same traditional kind of profile, right? And then, you know, here's the classic Marine Band or Marine Band Deluxe or Marine Band Crossover. This is an old Marine Band that's been, you know, converted to operate like the newer ones, right? So anyway, I like that a lot. Me personally, I like the Special 20 covers on the Marine Band, like that. See that? That's got the rocket thing. So I don't like the vent, especially on the higher harps. I like the vent to be closed so it's a little bit more mellow in tone. Okay, so moving right along, let's talk. So that's harmonicas, right? So whatever is good for you is what's good. I would say try them all if you can, right? And maybe, you know, buy an old one off of eBay if you don't have a lot of money, and then just clean it really well with isopropyl alcohol, as my teacher told, or my student, who's also my teacher, told me it's called isopropyl alcohol. So clean it well, and you're off to the races, right? And like, anyway, like, look at this. They don't even make this, and I ended up, you know, over the years finding what I liked with the little brace, the Special 20 covers, a phenolic resin comb from Blue Moon, Hohner reed plates that bend really easy to me and stuff. And you know, at different times in my life, like, I went through different periods, like different periods in my life, I went through different phases. Let me say that. So like when I was playing the Suzukis, I really liked the big, thick, strong reeds and the way they bent. Now, but that did slow me down a little bit. So it was kind of nice to come back to sort of like the Carmen Ghia of harmonicas, or the Porsche, right? I went from like a, you know, like a Mustang to like a little Porsche. So anyway, as far as amps go, okay, so you can see I got a variety of amps over here. I got two HG50s right here. These are made by Harp Gear. These are both 410s. You can see in the back of them. So these are big amps. So would this amp be good for you? No, not necessarily. Why would I recommend buying this amp? If you're a performer that plays live on stage a lot, if you go to gigs a lot and you're playing actual like 100 or 200 or 300 or 400 or more seated rooms, you're going to want a big amp. And look, you know, that's my opinion, but it's also the opinion of almost any. Go look at what Rick Estrin's playing. Go look at what Kim Wilson's playing. Go look at what any of the harmonica players that have been touring for decades and decades play. They're playing big amps. Does it have to be an HG50? Guys, no, it doesn't. It just has, in my opinion, it has to be a tube amp that's loud, like 50 watts or more, right? It could have two 12s, it could have 115, it could have 410s, it could have 8 6s or 10 6s or 8. It's got to be a big amp. That's what I think. All right, it doesn't have to be a tube amp either. That's just my opinion. It's just what I like, right? I like the way that the compression happens when you really dig into a tube amp, when you're really getting loud, the way that it just kind of squeezes it. It's a solid state amp can't do that, right? By definition, it's made not to have any variance, to be the same all the time. So it has other advantages. Now, like if you're just starting off in your house and you don't want to spend a bunch of money, or you don't want to really disturb your husband or your wife, right? Which you don't need one of these. You don't need a Fender Bassman or a Twin or even a Vibro Lux, right? You don't need that. You could get yourself something like this. Right now, here I'm going to let you guys in on a secret, okay? So there's all this talk about, oh, well, what's the best little harp amp, and is it the Kalamazoo or the Memphis Mini or the Lone Wolf, whatever? Look, I'm here to tell you guys something. Any small tube amp at all, like 5 watts with like 1 6 or 8 inch speaker, Any single one of them is going to sound great for harmonica. Just turn it up all the way. It won't even be that loud, right? But it's going to sound good. Now, you might have a preference of some over others. Now, this one's called the Dirty Whore. I hope Facebook doesn't. It was found in a puddle in the back of a club, and it was given to me, and I volunteered $100 for it because I liked it so much. But I think it's a Premier 60s, right? Well, now look down here. There's a little pig nose. So maybe you're just a hobbyist, right? Maybe you're just sitting at home and you're like, I don't need to go searching for a tube amp or go to old pawn shops for 6 months trying to find some of these amps, these little tube amps go for more than this one, right? Like, because they're collectors. People collect them. You can find any cheap tube amp. You can order them from like China. And they're going to sound good, right? Right? Any cheap tube amp will work good. Now, I just got a deal on this one, but you might be thinking, well, I don't want to go looking for that, and I definitely don't need that. I just want to see what it's like to play amplified. Well, one of your options would be something like this little pig nose here, or a little mouse amp, or any little tiny little practice amp. Just get your amplified chops together. Try it out. See what happens. Pedals. All right, what about them? All right, well, look, guys. See all these pedals? See them all? Okay, it's a lot. It's a lot of pedals. It's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. A lot of things that can break. All right, they rarely break, but that's not the point. Let me tell you the point. The point is, in 1999. In 1999, I got a delay pedal, and I plugged it in, and I played bop, and it went bop, bop, bop. And I went, that's pretty cool. I had that pedal for a couple of years, and then somebody lent me an octave pedal. And I discovered, it was a Boss OC2. I discovered if I turned the octaves off and turned the direct level up, the volume on the pedal, that it compressed. I didn't even know what compression was. I just liked the way it sounded. So then I had two pedals. Those were the only two pedals I had for like the next 5 or 6 years. Then after that, I added the Kinder anti-feedback. And then I added like another kind of delay. And then I added a chorus. And then I added the sonic stomp. And I would just go to Guitar Center and buy like 4 or 5 pedals at a time. Come home, I would try them. I would take the ones that I liked, which some days I would go 3 or 4 times and not find one. And I would end up at the end of the day just returning every pedal that I tried. And then some days I would find one, right? And I would do that like every couple of years, and I might add a pedal. So every single pedal that you see on here has been added over basically a 30-year career, okay? So while I support anybody supporting Lone Wolf and going out and buying all these pedals, that's great. But you're not going to sound like me overnight because I know what each one of these things does. And like I mentioned that Kinder anti-feedback. For a while, that was the best pedal I had ever played. As a matter of fact, I had 3 of them. But then after a while, my ideas about tone started changing. I wanted a more cleaner, more representative of the harmonica. More of the harmonica sound. And I wanted to be able to change that tone to dirtier or more compressed or less compressed with more than that pedal was willing to let me do. So if somebody were to come up to me and say, Jay, should I buy a Kinder anti-feedback? I would say, I don't know. Let's look at your amp. Let's look at your situation. Let's look at what you're doing in your life. Like when my Patreon patrons write me, hey Jay, what pedal should I get next? Like, normally I give them my phone number, right? Because, I don't want to spend all night talking to them. I really don't. But at the same time, it'll take me twice as long to ask them what amp do they have or what gigs are they doing or how often are they playing. So it's really like whatever works for you. Can you hear, hon, the influence of Teal Swan, like in my voice? Like when I say, like, really? Really? I don't know. You guys got to check out the Teal Swan documentary. Hashtag release the footage. All right. Yeah, where was I on? Oh, yeah. It's really up to you and where you're at. So I have to spend it's much easier for me to spend 5 or 10 minutes on the phone with you, trying to figure out what's good for you. And even that is just my idea of like, okay, like this is where she's at, or this is where he's at, and they're playing. And this is where they're at in their career, like quote unquote, like jam night or regular gigs or touring the country. What is it? Like what kind of amp do they have? Okay, like how loud is the band, right? Are they playing rooms with a sound man that can mic the amp? All those kind of things. There's a what's it called? An exception for every single rule. Let's go over here. Look at this one. See this guy right here? Pat Ramsey, he used 2 little amps on stage. Didn't I just get done saying that almost every major touring harmonica player used a big amp? Well, not that guy. Right there. So anyway, there's always an exception to the rule, right? So it's just same with the cigar thing. Always, there's some cigars, wrappers that are normally strong or sometimes mild and vice versa. All right, so here's your pedals. Right now there's a lot of damn pedals, right? So Jay, if you only needed one, what would it be? Geez, I'm gonna go with the harp break or maybe my compression pedal. Right now, so do I need a compression pedal and a harp break? I don't know, it depends on your amp. Also, compression has a lot to do with the fact that I use a dynamic microphone. This is a harmonica microphone, but it's based on a vocal mic or an instrument mic. It's meant to pick up accurately the sounds of a harmonica or whatever it's miking. It's not meant to distort on its own. A little bullet mic distorts on its own and compresses. So maybe a bullet's for you if you don't want to, if you're at that place where, hey, look, I just want distortion and compression, and I don't really care how much it is, and I don't want to buy 2 pedals and have to hook them up. I just want a mic that I want to plug into an amp and I want it to sound good. Man, well, I would say get a bullet. Oh no, Jason Ricci, who's selling his Jason Ricci signature mic, just told me to get a bullet. Damn straight. I want what's best for you. And I used a bullet for many years in my life, and I listen back to those recordings and I like them. And here's the other thing. Sometimes I still use a bullet on recordings because it sounds good. Like I'm going for an older sound. The original Badger the Witness off of the album We Do Not Speak Of, My Chops Are Rolling, was recorded with a bullet mic, an old A-Static JT30 that I found in a pawn shop for $50. Couldn't resist, $50. I didn't know what they had. I got it. It lasted a couple of years and it broke. There's the other reason I don't use bullets. Each one has their own tone. Each one has their own sound. Boy, that's fun, isn't it? Yep, it is. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting. They're fun to hunt, look for, trade, and everything else. Guess what happens? When it breaks, you'll never find another one exactly like that one, right? You're going to go on the search, and you're going to be paying a lot of money for it, right? By the way, look, if you want a bullet mic, and I think it's a great idea. I do. I think for some of you, the bullet mic is the right way to go. I would like to recommend that if you want a good bullet, a good vintage bullet, that you go to Dennis Grunling. Okay? You're not going to find a better vintage bullet. And Dennis is looking into the strength of every single one of those elements. I think you should let Dennis scour eBay for you. Pay the extra money. Get the microphone from a guy that knows what he's doing, that's committed to the cause, that has played every kind of bullet mic ever made, knows every little detail about what year, what marking. That's the place to go. Spend a little extra money, go there. If you're just brand new and you don't want to drop $300-400 on a microphone, get your little Hohner Blues Blaster. One of those little, that's what I got. I got one in the van, it's not here, right? Grab you one of those and that'll get you started. Okay, or something even cheaper, right? You can grab any microphone and plug in, and if you cup it properly, most of it's in the cup, guys. Most of it's in how you hold it, getting that airtight seal. If you cup it properly, any mic, a 58, a 57, a bullet, the Jason Ricci signature mic, any mic at all, if you cup it well, it'll sound good. You know, there's like all these guitar players talk about, you know, you can have 20 different guitar players play through the same rig, same pedal, not pedals, whatever, and sound completely different, that the tone is in their fingers. Look, a lot of that is true. I've been on stage before and I've handed my mic to another harmonica player, same amp, same pedals, everything, and they've accused me of sabotaging them. They said, you changed the knobs. Well, 99% of it is just how you hold the microphone. I didn't touch any knobs. I didn't sabotage anybody, okay? Right? It's just you got to hold the mic, get that airtight seal. So anyway, look, the subject of this is this gear is subjective. If you want to find out what's good for you, the best way to do it is try. Always try within your budget. You don't need to spend $1 million. When I was starting off, I got one thing at a time, and it took a long time to get the other thing. I started off with a C harp. I probably had that for a few years. Got me a D, got me an E. Then I kind of catapulted. After that, I went, okay, I'm into this, and I got all the keys, right? It's like cigars. I started smoking cigars in 2006. I didn't really go, I had like, these are the cigars I like from 2006 until 2019. And then the pandemic hit, and I went, whew, right, off to the races. That's when I knew I was committed. I knew I liked it, and my student got me that humidor. He's not even my student anymore. He's like one of my good friends. Shout out Tom Watson. Thank you. This is the best gift I've ever gotten. It is the source of so much peace and happiness and fun. But anyway, back to harmonicas, right? Don't go out and spend all your money on something. Get a little something. Check out the forums. Use the forums, right? If you ask somebody, hey, what amp should I get? They're going to give you 100 different answers. Listen to the guy who goes, what are you doing with the amp? What do you want to do with it? If you're just playing in your house, get you the cheapest thing, you start playing. Here's another thing, guys. Let me mention this. I'll tell you one pedal that I think that maybe you should look into. It's called the Alpha Wolf. Now, I like that one better than the Boogeyman, okay, because it uses the Alpha Wolf uses the Heartbreak, which is a distortion pedal I'm more familiar with. The reason I'm recommending this pedal, y'all, is because you can plug it straight into the PA. So you don't even need an amp. So you can go to a blues jam and you can have this, or you can bring it to Europe as a backup plan. If something goes wrong, you can plug straight into that and just go right to the PA. I had a gig in Pennsylvania recently where something was failing on me and I didn't know what it was, and I didn't have my little Alpha Wolf handy. If I had had that handy on stage, I could have plugged into that, lined out, and done the rest of the gig and been fine. So I think the Alpha Wolf is a good one. It's a little expensive, but it's a good thing to have no matter what level you are at your career or no matter where you're at. Charlie Musselwhite uses one. Lots of guys use one. Grandmothers like them. Dogs like them. Ferrets like them. Hedgehogs like them. Birds like them. There's a lizard with half a tail that lives on my porch. He probably would like to get on it and look cool and do that thing like this. And he does that. He's like the alpha lizard around here. He's got half a tail. He's like, I'm New Orleans street lizard. I'm mean. I'd stand in on his Alpha Wolf, and I bet you won't touch it because you're afraid I bite you, right? He could do some shit like that. Anyway, look, there's no one solution. I know that's not a fun video. I know that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear this is what you got to get. This is what you got to get. Top 5 harmonicas, top 5 pedals, top 5 amps. Sorry, no such thing. It's up to you. Grow, change, have fun. See you guys next Friday.